Backrooms is the directorial debut of Kane Parsons, is one of two breakout low-budget horror films for this summer, and was already breaking A24 box office records before its opening weekend even wrapped. Needless to say, it's a big deal. And it meets at the intersection of a few ongoing Hollywood trends. It's the latest installment in the horror genre's recent fascination with the fantastical liminal spaces. Yes, I will get around to you. The movie, along with the short films Parsons built up his fan base with, have inspirations rooted in the myth-making of creepypasta online communities, similar to what we saw with Slender Man over a decade ago. And Parsons is the latest young director to make the jump from YouTube via the horror genre. Thankfully, that last bit isn't getting the same unnecessary hand-wringing we've seen from certain film critics when other YouTube creators have made the transition. Partially because they're too distracted by the fact that Parsons is only 20 years old, but also the A24 release and the film's producers, including some big Hollywood names, makes it feel like the industry itself is giving Parsons the proverbial seal of approval. Personally, I have no issue with YouTube creators becoming Hollywood directors. A couple of decades ago, we had an entire generation of filmmakers born out of directing music videos for MTV. This just feels like the modern version of that. Only this time, some of them are walking in with massive fan bases before a single shot is even recorded. Have all of them been great? Of course not. But in what feels like an era of change and slow recovery for the industry, I'm not going to turn up my nose at a director just because they didn't toil in the Hollywood system for a few years. And thank goodness the Hollywood bigwigs didn't either, because Backrooms is genuinely good and could be the first of many big hits for a promising young director. The film centers around Chiwetel Ejiofor's Clark and his therapist Mary, played by Renee Rensby. Between his failed marriage, unrealized aspirations as an architect, and his failing furniture store, Clark is becoming increasingly disengaged with the world around him, until he accidentally discovers a way to access the Backrooms, a seemingly infinite liminal space whose architecture becomes more unhinged the further he explores it. And it appears there's someone or something that's already in there that doesn't seem particularly thrilled with Clark showing up, made all the more apparent when he recruits two more people to join him in trying to map it out. Clark initially tells Mary about what he's found. She's naturally skeptical about the whole thing, but when he disappears after leaving her a final ominous message, she winds up exploring the Backrooms as well. A lot has already been made about the film's aesthetic, born from creepypasta forums conjuring up ideas about the alienating and off-putting feelings empty liminal spaces can often produce, and mixed in with concepts like geographical glitches in video games and interior design trends of the late 80s and early 90s. The end result is something that has drawn comparisons to Stanley Kubrick and David Lynch, though I was reminded of the same design choices in films like I Saw the TV Glow, where the film isn't so much faithfully recreating the look of the early 90s as it is channeling what tends to be remembered of that time period. This is on particular display during the first-person found footage segments. In the past, this has made for some truly terrible horror filmmaking, but the way Parsons is able to maneuver the camera through the massive maze of a film set and provide just enough lighting to leave you squirming when it starts to head down dark hallways makes for some of the best horror moments, even if the film isn't particularly interested in being scary. It even avoids the usual narrative knot films have to tie themselves into to try and justify a handheld camera being present. And one of its best moments is when a character makes the logical decision to set the camera down, only for something else to pick it back up. With a look at the film and the lore of Parsons' short films, which apparently are linked to this but are by no means required reading, what helps the film truly stand out are the deeper psychological issues of what the Backrooms are and Ejiofor's profound performance. At first, he seems like just an unlucky soul having stumbled into some kind of eldritch horror, only to slowly reveal his connection to this realm, for lack of a better word, and tie back to ideas presented at the start of the film about therapy and self-improvement. It ultimately lands on some pretty interesting ideas about what a person actually needs to do in order to break free of destructive behavioral loops, and the cruel reality that plenty of people would rather be stuck in those loops than choose to change. If the film has any weakness, it's Rensby as Mary. Her performance is fine, and I like the idea of her tragic backstory creating yet another connection to the Backrooms, but she's less a character and more a plot device to get the story from A to B. She's there so somebody can witness Clark's ultimate revelations regarding the Backrooms, be involved in a big final chase scene, and receive just enough exposition in the final minutes so the audience can leave with a semblance of an idea of what's going on. It wouldn't be an issue were she not such an integral part of the third act. But overall, Backrooms is excellent, living up to every bit of the hype it's had since that initial trailer. I'm thrilled to see what Parsons does next, and I can't imagine a world where we don't get more of these Backrooms films. This feels like the start of something big, so go see it for yourself. Thanks for watching.